Hello everyone, welcome once again. So now we'll talk about the recap of the entire DMAIC cycle, what we have seen in last 5 phases because we have completed the entire training now. So let's try to look at the key aspects of what we have seen in this entire DMAIC. It would be a detailed review of what we have seen right from the beginning, where we talked about the evolution of Lean Six Sigma till we go to the entire control phase. We'll not look at each and everything, we'll just try to cover the important part in this recap. When we started this training program, we talked about how the Lean Six Sigma evolution happened, where we talked about two great organizations, Toyota and Ford, how were they able to evolve the Lean and Six Sigma methodology, and they used it. So everything started in Toyota, where Toyota as an organization gave birth to a lot of Lean methodologies, and they were one of the first organizations to use and invent some of the very popular Lean methodologies. And after that, Lean as a method which they developed, which meant how to reduce, how to eliminate and identify waste in a process. So that's what the Lean focuses on, reducing the waste in a process. While Six Sigma as a methodology, which was invented by Bill Smith in Motorola in 1981, that focuses heavily on reducing the variation in a process. When I say variation, process variation should not be more than customer provided variation. If it is more than that, the process will go out of the specification and it will create defects. In our language, it might go beyond the target that customer is saying. Beyond target means missing the SLA, service level agreements, which is not the right thing to happen. So that's a story of Motorola. But then in 1995, a great CEO called Jack Welch of the company General Electric or GE, he realized the potential of Six Sigma and he deployed Six Sigma in all his businesses. And within 6 years, he became all the companies of General Electric, most of them, they became a Six Sigma organizations, and they were in number 1, 2 or 3 in the respective businesses they were in. So that's how the Six Sigma got popularized in GE, and that was the success of GE in the Six Sigma. And that's when everyone started talking about Six Sigma and started getting trained on Six Sigma. So Six Sigma methodology, Six Sigma is a quality level which talks about 3.4 defects in a million opportunity, which talks about 99.9996% level of quality. It has various roles, starts from yellow belt, goes to green belt, then black, then master black belt, then there is a champion in the organization. This Six Sigma level of quality is achieved using two different frameworks. One framework which is used for existing process and product and called as DMAIC, which we just completed the training. Define, measure, analyze, improve, control is the name of the framework. And while the other framework is called Design for Six Sigma, where the framework name is DMADV, define, measure, analyze, design and verify. These are the 5 steps. This methodology is used when we have an existing process or a product. Not an existing process, we want to design a new process or a product from the beginning to such an extent where we want it to be at a Six Sigma level of quality. So that's the Design for Six Sigma or DMADV method focuses at. Our training was based on the DMAIC. So when we start a training program, when we start the first phase called the define phase, in define phase we try to understand who are the customers. These customer can be anyone who may get impacted from our project that we are working, or the kind of changes a project might bring. We need to identify those stakeholders, and they can be our customers, can be internal or external in the organization. We speak to these customers, we try to understand the requirements and expectation, and this is called getting the voice of customer, understanding the voice of customer. And voice of customer can come from various sources like survey, questionnaire, feedback, calls, KPIs, focus group and so on. But the problem with voice of customer is that it can be very vague at times, so it needs to be converted into measurable inputs, and that measurable input is called as CTQ, critical to quality. And critical to quality example can be, let's say we want to purchase high quality products, that can be categorized as high quality, low cost or on time delivery. Further quantification can be high cost can be low cost can be less than $1. High quality can be more than 99.5% quality, and on time delivery can be within 24 hours. So that's about the CTQ conversion from VOC. Now, but there can be many customer requirements, so we prioritize them using a method called as Kano model. Kano model talks about prioritization of customer on two contexts. One is what different customer wants. So we design a product for all the type of customer, but we categorize them, prioritize them as must have in a product, good to have in a product, and delighters in a product. So that is one context what different customer wants, and what should be the costing and marketing strategies and everything for those type of customer for different features which they want. Another context of Kano is what we can deliver to the customer as on today with the existing resources and budget that we have, and then we promise to deliver a better version next 6 months and a far better version in next 1 year. So two contexts, but what does the customer want right now, that's what we put as must have. Maybe in 6 months when we deliver a better version, that would be the good to have, and what we deliver after 1 year, that can be part of delighter version of it. So that's how we use Kano model, and everything that we just talked about, the VOC, the CTQ, the Kano model prioritization, you put them into a document called as project charter. Project charter, which is a synopsis, a summary of the entire project. We use it here, and this charter will help us to understand what is the problem we are going to solve, why are we solving that problem, and what is the project team, what is in scope, what is the goal, what are the timelines. So basically there are 6 key elements of a project charter, namely problem statement, business case, scope, goal, timeline, and the project team. Problem statement deals with the key context, the facts and figures. It doesn't have any root causes or solutions in place, and it that should not contain any blame, claim, or name of person. While the business case talks about why do we need to solve a problem. Does the business need it now? If we put it on hold, what will happen? Why should the business invest into a problems? Why should the business invest and give resources to solve this problem? Can we hold it for some time? What if we don't solve it? So in urgency or need of solving a problem reflects in a business case. Then we talk about a goal statement where we say how much we want to improve from where we are right now. The problem statement gives us the current state of the problem, the pain in the problem. Goal tells us how much do you want to reduce that pain. You can't reduce it completely, but you can reduce it to an extent. How much is that, and when do you want to do that? In 3 months, 6 months, 4 months, we have to write the timeline and how much we want to do that. Then we talk about the scope. What is in the scope of solving that process? Process can be very big, maybe spread throughout the organization. Maybe we can't solve the entire process, so we look at the boundaries of the process. We fix here in the scope document. So in scope becomes what is in the scope of it, what the boundary of the process. It can be geography, function, business, team. While out of scope is anything and everything beyond this boundary is out of scope. So we have to write it that these are the things which are not in the scope of this project. So everything else is out of scope. That's how the out of scope is decided. And then we talk about the project team, where we talk about who all will be on the project team, who will carry out this project. Primary team will involve a project sponsor, project coach, which can be a black belt or an experienced green belt, SME who will help you on this entire project, and you as a project lead, typically 4 to 5 member team. And then we write the milestones as to what are the key deliverables or key milestones of this project that we shall look at, and that's when the charter gets completed. Once the charter is ready, we look at the next section, which is about assigning the roles and responsibility of each team member in the team. For that, we use a method called as roles and responsibility matrix, in which we write all the project activities, and then we put it that for this activity, what is the role of every person, who is responsible, who is accountable, who is in the consultation role, who is in the informed role. Typically we should not have more than 2 accountable for an activity, otherwise it would become very problem to assign the responsibilities, and there should be at least 1 accountable for each activity. That's a thumb rule, and everyone should have a role in that team. That's very important to understand. Once the roles and responsibility have been assigned, we move to the next part, wherein we try to prepare a communication plan that will help us to update everyone what's happening on this project, what are the key milestones, what have we achieved, and what are the key learnings and so on, what are the different training sessions, working sessions, workshops happening, who is part of which meeting and so on. So that detailing we do in the communication plan. And then we do a stakeholder analysis, where we try to understand anyone and everyone who has a say in this project should be a part of it. If not, they are not a part of project team, but we try to engage them in this project in some other way, like we come through our communication plan, we write their names if anyone needs to receive any kind of newsletter or any update or any email, or we need to set up a meeting with them. So what are the key stakeholder who can be barrier in the success of this project, or who can be very influencing in our success of the project? So these people need to be identified, and they need to be kept engaged, informed, updated about everything in the project. And once stakeholder analysis is done, at the end of the defined phase, we plan to do a high level process mapping, where we try to understand the project that we're trying to improve. What is the we try to map it at through different elements, like what are the key inputs of this process, what are the key steps of this process, and what are the key output of this process, and where do we get those inputs, who are the key suppliers, and what are the key key customers who receive those key outputs. So through these 5 elements, we look at a process at a very high level that gives a high level understanding of the process. And this method is called SIPOC, and this is important because it helps us to set the boundary of the process, and also we know the metric that we are improving, what are the dependency of this metric on any of the other metric being used in some other element. That's important. At the end of it, we have a defined phase tollgate review. Tollgates review are at the end of each phase. So for a typical tollgate review, we have a sponsor and project coach will sit in, and they will ask question from 2 points of view. Project coach will ask a question from the project coach asks question from the business point of view, that are we solving the right problem, are we on track, do you need any support, do we have any challenge. While the Six Sigma coach or project coach will ask question from the Six Sigma methodology point of view, that are we solving the right problem, are we using the Six Sigma methodology, are you able to use the tool, do you understand the tool or not. So this is about the defined phase tollgate, and after that we move to the measure phase. So let's talk about measure phase in the next session. Till then, keep watching. Thank you. This is Shivendra Sharma.